The weight of the soul, gentlemen, appears to be precisely 20,001 grams.
Welcome, rational thinkers and champions of evidence-based reasoning, to the Free of Faith podcast. This is the place where we dare to peel back the comforting but opaque layers of faith-based claims and expose their logical shortcomings. Today, we ask a question that directly speaks to the significance of our existence. Do insights from philosophy and cognitive science justify high confidence in a non-material, spiritual soul? Let's explore the evidence. The claim is familiar. Many say there is a soul distinct from the body that drives our thoughts and choices. Before we had the means to study the brain, this was the standard conclusion. Before microscopes, brains appeared to have no correlation to thoughts. However, when science reached maturity, we discovered that when brain regions change, mental functions also change. Hurt the prefrontal cortex, and judgment and impulse control shift. Damage the hippocampus, and new memories fail to form. Injure the occipital lobe, and vision disappears, even though the eyes are intact. These are not vague patterns. They are reliable across many cases. If the mind was separate from the brain, such consistent links would not appear. Yet the pattern is tight, and it points to a material basis for the mind. Split brain cases reinforce this. To treat severe epilepsy, surgeons sometimes cut the bridge between the hemispheres. After surgery, each side can process on its own. One hand reaches for one shirt, the other hand for another. One side of the brain says yes, the other says no. If a single, unified, non-physical soul were in charge, why would awareness split with the wiring? The simplest answer is that unity depends on connections. Break the connections, and the unity breaks. This is evidence for the brain as the seat of consciousness, not the soul. Now, consider emergence. An economy depends on many people and exchanges, yet you cannot point to one place where the economy lives. A whirlpool is not a single molecule, yet it needs the water. In the same way, consciousness depends on neurons and their patterns. Emergence means complex systems can display new properties while still relying fully on their parts. Consciousness can be seen as such an emergent property. This explains rich experience without invoking a separate, immaterial essence. Philosophy adds a clear rule. Occam's razor tells us not to multiply entities without necessity. If the brain explains perception, memory, language, emotion, decision, and a sense of self, then adding a soul introduces complexity without gain. Dualism also raises a tough question. How does a non-physical soul move physical neurons? What mechanism makes this possible? How would we test it? Without clear answers, the proposal is weak, and confidence should be low. Some push back with intuition. People feel they are more than atoms. We are wired from childhood to see agents, assign beliefs, and create a story of a stable self. This helps us plan and live, but it also fuels dualistic thinking. Cognitive science shows the self is a construct the brain makes. It feels enduring and separate, but it is stitched together from memories, sensations, and predictions. The story is useful, but it does not establish a spiritual realm. Others point to near-death experiences. People report bright lights, tunnels, floating above the body, and feelings of calm. These are powerful, but physical causes explain them. Lack of oxygen can trigger vivid imagery. Temporal lobe activity can produce out-of-body sensations. The content of the experience varies by culture, which suggests expectations shape what people report. When researchers try to verify perceptions during cardiac arrest, the results are thin and unreliable. Physical explanations fit the data without invoking extra entities. And the near-death stories of those from different religions reflect the gods, hells, and heavens of each particular religion. This is strong evidence that the experience is limited to what is already present in the brain, rather than being external to it. Here's an analogy. If a radio circuit breaks, the music warps or stops. We do not infer a spirit of music. We instead fix the device. Likewise, we do not need a spirit mind. The appeal to the limits of science does not help either. It is true that science does not yet explain everything, but that does not justify adding untestable claims. Additionally, saying the soul is complementary to the brain, as others suggest, does not provide mechanisms or predictions. It only shields the claim from testing. There is robust scientific evidence that damage to specific areas of the brain results in specific cognitive deficiencies. Every region maps to a function. None suggest a free-floating self that carries on untouched. Let's look at the bigger picture. Across history, lightning moved from divine anger to electrical charge. Disease moved from spirits to pathogens and genes. Again and again, natural explanations grew stronger, while supernatural ones faded. Consciousness is complex, but the trajectory points in the same direction. As science progresses, the gaps shrink. It is wise to align our confidence with that pattern. So, where do we land? Philosophy gives us parsimony and testability. Cognitive science and neuroscience show reliable links between structure and function. Together, they do not justify high confidence in a spiritual soul. They support the conclusion that the mind depends wholly on the brain. That view does not drain life of meaning. It invites awe at what organized matter can do and gives us a greater appreciation of who we are. If this conversation has sparked some questions or even some discomfort, that's a good thing. Questioning is the first step toward clarity. Don't settle for easy answers or platitudes. Dive deeper, explore further, and demand evidence. Head over to Free of Faith to read the full article and join the discussion. Let's keep this conversation going, because the pursuit of truth doesn't stop at questioning. It's about finding answers that actually make sense. Thank you for tuning in to the Free of Faith podcast, where we expose the logical failings of faith and celebrate the clarity that comes with reason. Until next time, stay skeptical, stay curious, and remember, rationality always outperforms faith. Engage reality, and I'll see you soon.